Welcome back. My name is Caitlin and I'm doing a no by year. I have been seriously putting off doing a declutter of my foundations because there's just so many and the task seems so daunting. So today, in sort of a warm up to possibly doing that in the near future, I'm going to go through and talk about my favorite foundations, sort of my most used as well. And I've got a mix between drugstore and high-end, so I figured the easiest way to go through them is sort of from least coverage to highest coverage. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, starting with skin tints, so the least amount of coverage. From the drugstore, I have the NYX Bear With Me Luminous Tinted Skin Serum. I actually don't even think that they make this anymore. Some of these that I'm going to be talking through, they don't make anymore, which is kind of a bummer. Well, first of all, what I don't like about this is the packaging, the like stupid squeeze thing. So that's it right there. It's not super runny, but like as you can see, it basically just blended in completely to my skin. The shade that I have is Universal Light. It's a pretty good match for me. I like this because of the texture that it provides my skin, or I guess like the finish that it provides my skin. It just sort of adds a nice glow to it, and I like that I can powder it and it doesn't make it weird. And the way that it wears throughout the day, it wears evenly, so if it starts to like wear down in some places, it's not going to be super obvious. Alright, next up for the lighter coverage, it's another skin tint from Typology, Tinted Serum. This is in the shade 01. I also have 02 that, like, if I get some sun in the summer, mixing the two of them is a pretty good shade. But just 01, I like that it has a little bit of runniness to it, but not a lot. And again, I just like the overall finish that it provides my skin. It has a little bit more coverage than the NYX one. I also just like how my skin feels after I've been wearing this for a few days. Typology, first off, is known for skincare. It's a company based in France, so they know what they're doing in terms of products that you put on your face. And so basically it feels like a skincare product that has coverage to it. Next is the L'Oreal Age Perfect 4-in-1 Tinted Balm. This is in the shade Fair 20. Now, first of all, this is like a love-hate relationship that I have with this product because I love the formula of it, but the color range is abysmal. This is 20 Fair, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but like looking at the product in the pan, it kind of just turns like orange on me. But I love the formula of it so much that I make do with it by trying to mix in some lighter products. Like I'll use a lighter concealer, or like the Salt New York Sculpt and Bronze White Color Adjuster I'll sort of use to help like lighten it and not make it so orange. I'm not sure if they make this anymore. Come on, L'Oreal, like get on it. It's like the whole color range of this. First of all, it doesn't go deep enough, and like the colors just make no sense. I've gone through, like I think I bought 3 or 4 different shades of them based on the pictures, thinking that one would be better than the previous one that I got, and just none of them really quite hit the mark. But the formula is just so wonderful. It's really light and emollient, and it feels nice on the skin. It's super light coverage. It just looks beautiful when you have it on the skin, just except for the shade. So, love-hate. Speaking of Salt New York, the Sneaky Balm in the shade N13 is one of my favorite. I guess I don't know why I'm swatching these. First of all, they're all really light coverage, but like especially the Salt New York one, it's a pretty good shade match, so it's going to basically just blend into my skin. But I love this for kind of just using it as spot conceal. I don't really ever use it all over my face. And another thing that I love, well, kind of all of what I'm talking about, they wear nicely throughout the day, so it's not going to wear off in weird patches. I'm at work for like at least 8 hours plus my commute or whatever, so basically I'm wearing my face and makeup for up to 10-ish, 11 hours, so I want it to, number one, last, but if it's not gonna last, I want it to wear evenly and not look weird at the end of the day. So the Sneaky Balm is perfect. I think the title says it all. It's real sneaky. It provides coverage, but it looks like you don't have anything on the skin. Wonderful. Moving up in coverage a little bit, the Westman Atelier Vital Skin Foundation Stick. This is in the shade Atelier N. It's a little dark for me, but again, if I mix it with the Salt New York White or again like a lighter concealer, I make do with it because I like the formula of it so much. It just looks really natural on the skin. It provides enough coverage to like cover some spots, but it's not going to like completely blanket out, so your skin still looks like skin underneath of it. I just really love this formula, and I've been really into just like stick and balm foundations recently. I find that they're just so easy, like you could just swipe it on the skin and blend it out basically. So Westman Atelier, love it. The next one that still calls itself a tint is the Neutrogena Hydro Boost Hydrating Tint. This is in the shade Nude 40. It's kind of dark right now for me, and it oxidizes a little bit, so it gets a little bit deeper on my skin, so I haven't been wearing it lately. What I really need is just a lighter shade of it, but I love the formula of it. It's really hydrating. It looks like a little plumping on the skin. It says moisturizes and plumps skin for 24 hours. It doesn't look dry on my skin. It blends out really nicely. It has like a, I feel like I can build it up a little bit to a light medium coverage without it looking cakey. Once you go past that, it starts to like look pretty heavy on the skin, but great option from the drugstore. I hope they still make it. I believe they still make it. Great option, Neutrogena. Okay, this was the Westman Atelier, and then that's that Neutrogena one. Clarins Skin Illusion Natural Hydrating Foundation. So this is moving up in coverage, but it's in a dropper. It's kind of runny. This is a bit dark for me, but when I mix it in with something lighter, since it is so liquid, if I mix it in, I have like a white liquid foundation adjuster. I have a white one and a blue one. Blue, so like if something is too warm for me, I can cool it down, and then if it's too dark, I can lighten it up. I really like this. It feels light on the skin. It has like a light to medium coverage. You can build it up a little bit, but because it's pretty runny, that's what makes it feel light on the skin. It has a really strong fragrance. It smells like a typical Clarins makeup item. Sadly, I think this was discontinued quite a while ago, but they should definitely bring it back. L'Oreal True Match Nude, the Hyaluronic Tinted Serum, the shade 02-2, very light. So let's talk about dropper packaging for a minute. So the Clarins isn't terrible because it has the thing that's like kind of pulls off what's on the dropper as you pull the dropper out, and the Typology has that as well. I don't know if this one just never had it, or maybe I had a weird dud of a packaging and it doesn't come with it, but that just means that like it's very messy and there's just like a ton of product all on the dropper, and then when you put it in, it like gloops up the side of the packaging. So L'Oreal needs to work on the packaging for this, but the formulation is wonderful. That's it right there. I feel like I'm kind of a broken record, but it feels really nice on the skin. It's, I guess, more of like a light coverage depending on how you apply it. Typically something like this I'm applying with a damp beauty blender or beauty sponge, so the coverage is going to be a little bit lower anyways because the wetness of it, you know, picks up excess product. But really nice. I like the finish that it gives. It's kind of like a natural dewy finish and it wears nicely throughout the day. MAC Face and Body. This is from like 2 formulations ago, maybe 1 formulation ago, I'm not sure. And it's in the shade N2. It's a little dark for me, but again, if I mix it with something, it's pretty good. And if you wear it really sheer, so like if you spread it out with your fingers, well, the way that they suggest you apply this is putting it in your fingers, rubbing it together first, and then like patting it in. So if you do it like that, it can provide a pretty nice sheer coverage, but then you can also build it up. If I'm wearing it, I tend to wear it on the lighter coverage side, so that it still feels pretty light on my skin. I find that once you start trying to build it up more, it starts to feel a little bit heavier on the skin. Holy cow, that's looking really orange right now. Because it's a lighter coverage, since it's not like a great color match for me, I can make it work, but I really like the formula of it. Urban Decay, the Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. I feel like I saw that they came out with a Hydromaniac Tinted Moisturizer. Is that different than what this is, or is it like a reformulation? I don't know. This is in the shade 20, Fair Layer. This is starting to get into the more, not full coverage, I guess it's still like a medium coverage. Depending on how I apply it, I can get it to sheer out a little bit. If I want to do like a full-on medium coverage, then I typically have to use like a brush. I really like the finish of this, and it's not drying on the skin. It's meant to be hydrating. It has kombucha filtrate and marula oil. I think the oil that's in it makes it so that it doesn't look dry. Overall, just a good for if my skin is feeling like less than perfect, this is one that's providing a bit more coverage. Nars Light Reflecting Foundation. I have the shade 2.5 Yukon. It's a pretty good match. It leans a little bit peachy for me, so like you can feel like it's a little bit dark. That one. I love the finish of this on the skin. It is one of the most like brightening looking, I guess the name's the light reflecting, it kind of says it all. It just makes you look super glowy and fresh and healthy looking. The coverage, I would say, is light to medium. You can build it up a little bit, but I don't like to go too heavy with it. If I need more coverage, I'll use a concealer. Love this. Okay, next, the Purito Cica Clearing BB Cream in the shade 21 Light Beige. This is the most gray tone one that I have, which actually means that it's kind of like one of the most perfect matches for me. It's a little bit on the dark side, but the grayness of it and like the desaturation of it makes it so close to perfect that since it's a little bit dark, I can still make it work. But I really love this. It provides like about a medium coverage. If I use a damp sponge, I can sheer out the coverage a little bit, but this is just like a perfect all-round. Like if there's ever a time where I don't know what I want to do with my foundation, if I pull this out, I'll love the way that it looks. Next up, one that I'm like 98% sure is discontinued is the Tom Ford Flawless Glow Foundation. I have the shade 3.5 Ivory Rose. This also is a little bit gray leaning, or like desaturated in the color, which makes it a really good color match for me. And I love the finish of this. It provides like a nice glowy finish without looking wet. It wears really nicely throughout the day. I can get like a light, I can build it up to about medium if I need to, but not much further than that. But I just love the way that it looks on my skin. Unfortunately, it's, well, the broad spectrum SPF 30, but the active ingredient, one of them is octinoxate, which makes me break out like crazy. so I can't use this too many days in a row or else I'll just start breaking out. But other than that, this is great. It's kind of sad that they discontinued it. Moving on to my more fuller coverage, the Makeup Forever HD, the original formula, so this has been discontinued, and unfortunately I wasn't able to get my perfect shade, so I had to get two and I mixed them together. Y235 mixed with R220. So I really like this foundation for if I'm needing like flawless looking coverage, kind of. I like it has a higher coverage, but it still feels pretty light on the skin, so it doesn't feel heavy. It's got more of a natural leaning, like satin finish. So if I'm looking for something that's not like overly glowy or anything, I'll go with this. And I really like the coverage that it provides. It's kind of a bummer that they reformulated. I feel like Makeup Forever has a habit of just reformulating stuff every 5 minutes. I have not tried the new formulation of it, so I don't know how it compares. But from things that I've seen online, I feel like it's kind of hit or miss. A lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it, so don't know. Monika Blunder, the Blunder cover, the shade 1. What I really like about the Blunder cover is I can kind of use it as like an all-purpose base product. I can use just a little bit as coverage and do some like pinpoint concealing. I can use it with a brush or a sponge, kind of sheer it out and use it as an all-over foundation, but then I can build it up in the places that I need it. It provides a natural kind of dewy finish to the skin, but it takes powder really nicely, and overall just great product. The RMS Re-Evolve Natural Finish Foundation. That's the shade 000. I also have 00 that is like a bit dark for me, but this is a pretty good shade match for me right now. I like that I can apply it with fingers, sponge, or a brush. Applying with fingers, I feel like you get a pretty full coverage. Also with a brush, you can get a pretty full coverage with it. But then I like to take a damp sponge and sort of pat it in so it doesn't feel as heavy on my skin. It again provides like a medium to full coverage. If you build it up to a full coverage, I feel like it feels heavy on my skin, but it feels heavy, but it still looks pretty natural if you build it up. But otherwise, I like wearing this in like a sheer to medium type coverage, and it's one of the better color matches for me, which is also what I really like about it. All right, last one. It's basically kind of like an all-round base product in the way that the Monika Blunder is the RCMA cream. It's just like their cream foundation. I like the ones that come in the 5 pan. So this is the KA series, and then I have the KO series. So for like actual foundation, I use the KA series because it has the lighter, but I like when you get the multiple shades because if you've gotten a little bit of a tan, you can just mix in a little bit of a darker color, and you can just always mix your perfect shade, which I really like. And again, it's one of those things where you can apply it in a sheer way to provide a light coverage, or you can build it up to get a pretty full coverage. It does really well with spot concealing, just like completely covering what it is that you want to cover. I like the KO ones. There was a time when I was getting like a lot more sun, I guess. I feel like, is it possible to get paler as you age? I don't know, but for whatever reason, at some point I bought the KO series, and it's a lot darker, but what I like about these is you can kind of use it as a cream bronzer, and because it's the same formula that you're using for the rest of your base, it just like blends seamlessly. So RCMA, the cream color, whatever this is called, this is perfect, and it's like the highest coverage thing that I have, I think. But really good. Okay, those are my favorite and most used foundations. I hope this can tide you over until I'm able to do like a foundation declutter, showing all of my foundations. There are just so many. I might have to break that down into like skin tints, cream, balm, and then like full-on liquid foundations. Otherwise it might just be too daunting of a task. But anyways, I hope you found this enjoyable. Maybe it was informative. What are your favorite foundations? Let me know in the comments below. Do you have one that was discontinued and now you like haven't quite found a replacement for it? Let me know. Foundation is one of the things that I like to change up pretty frequently. I love trying new foundations. It's one of the things that I just really like to do. Thanks for watching. That's all I've got. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.